Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're tackling something, well, pretty fascinating. An idea you see popping up all over the place when people talk about learning languages.
You mean the whole learn while you sleep concept?
Exactly.
Mm.
What if you could actually improve your English, maybe even significantly, while you're completely asleep? It
Yeah.
sounds, well, it sounds like magic, doesn't it? Almost sci-fi.
It really does, but you can see the appeal, can't you? I mean, think about the daily reality for so many people trying to learn. You're busy, you're often tired.
Totally. Work, family, life, finding dedicated study time is hard.
Right, but that desire, that real need to speak English well, to communicate freely, it doesn't just go away. It's strong.
So, yeah, the idea of an easy way, something pressure-free like learning in your sleep,
Mm-hmm.
it just hits that sweet spot.
Absolutely. It speaks directly to that hope for progress without having to carve out more hours from an already packed schedule.
And that's why, you see these videos everywhere online, clickbaity titles like Learn English While You Sleep or Unlock Your Brain's Secret Power Tonight.
They definitely grab your attention. Even if you're naturally skeptical, there's that little voice asking, but what if?
Mm-hmm. Could there actually be some kind of shortcut? A way to, I don't know, hack the learning process while you're unconscious?
And it's interesting because, well, this isn't some brand new idea cooked up for YouTube clicks.
No, not at all.
This concept, often called hypnopedia, it actually has quite a history. We're talking the 1950s, both in America and Europe.
Right. People were genuinely experimenting with this stuff decades ago. Weren't there actual machines involved?
There were literal sleep learning machines. Devices designed to whisper sentences or vocabulary into your ear all night long.
Wow. So the fascination is deep-rooted. But then it sort of faded, didn't it? Science wasn't quite on board back then.
Exactly. There was a lack of solid scientific proof, and the initial excitement died down. But fast forward to the digital age.
And boom, it's back with a vengeance. Thanks to the internet, the idea has had this huge resurgence.
It really taps into that timeless human desire for, well, effortless learning.
And that, listeners, perfectly sets the stage for what we're doing today. This is our deep dive.
Our mission isn't to chase after internet myths or sell you on easy answers.
Definitely not.
Yep.
We're going to cut through the noise, look at the actual science, the real experiments. We want to figure out what's genuinely possible. Can you really improve your English while sleeping?
We'll explore what works, what absolutely doesn't, and crucially, why. Moving from just hoping it works to understanding how you might actually use this idea effectively.
So let's really start by unpacking why this concept has such a strong pull. Learning English, let's be honest, it's tough.
It is. It takes real effort, consistent work, mental energy. It's not a walk in the park.
And even people who put in the time, go to classes, study diligently, so many still feel, well, stuck.
Yeah, that feeling of hitting a plateau, being tired of the effort, not quite reaching that fluency they dream of, it's very common.
So in that light, the idea of sleep learning, it feels like a gift, doesn't it? Like finding a hidden loophole.
Absolutely. The promise of making progress without conscious effort, without the stress of active studying, it's incredibly appealing.
Just imagine improving your vocabulary or understanding while you're literally resting.
It taps into that fundamental wish we all have to grow, to get better, even when we're taking a break.
And like you said, this isn't just a modern fad. That 1950s fascination with hypnopedia was real.
Oh, definitely. There was a genuine buzz. Think about it, these machines whispering French phrases or self-help mantras into people's ears all night.
It sounds slightly bizarre now, but back then,
Back then, the belief was quite optimistic. The idea was that the sleeping brain was somehow more receptive, like an open window ready to receive information.
so people thought sleep held the key not just to languages, but maybe even kicking bad habits like smoking.
Exactly. It was seen as this unexplored frontier for self-improvement, almost mystical.
But then reality, or at least the science of the time, kicked in.
Right. More rigorous studies started emerging, and they just couldn't find solid evidence to back up those big claims.
The conclusion was more like, no, it's probably not possible.
Yeah, the thinking was that sleep is just too deep, too different from being awake for the brain to actively learn new things.
It got labeled as fake science by some, didn't it? And the whole idea kind of went underground for a while.
It did. Skepticism became the dominant view for decades, until the internet changed everything.
Enter YouTube, blogs, forums.
Precisely. Suddenly you had thousands of videos, personal anecdotes, people enthusiastically sharing their success stories.
I learned 1,000 words in my sleep. that kind of thing.
Exactly. And all those stories, whether entirely accurate or not, they reignited that hope. They brought the core question right back to the forefront.
Which is, despite all that past skepticism, can our brains actually take in new English words while we're asleep?
And this is where the modern science gets really interesting, because it starts by challenging a very common misunderstanding about sleep.
Which is the idea that your brain just switches off, goes into low power mode.
Exactly. Many people think of sleep as just passive rest, but the reality couldn't be more different. Your brain isn't off at all.
It's actually working incredibly hard, isn't it?
Incredibly hard. It's doing complex maintenance, cleaning out toxins, organizing information, consolidating memories. It's a hive of activity.
And that constant hidden activity is the real foundation for any possibility of sleep-enhanced learning.
Precisely. The brain isn't just waiting for input, it's actively processing the day's experiences. That's the crucial difference that makes revisiting this idea scientifically valid today.
Okay, let's dive into that hidden world then, when you start drifting off to sleep.
Yeah, your body relaxes, your eyes close, conscious thoughts start to fade away. It feels like everything is winding down.
But inside your head, it's a whole different story.
Totally. The brain stays remarkably active. It's running all these intricate programs, these neurological processes, in a way that's, well, it's beautiful and complex, and we're still figuring it all out.
And it's not just one flat state of sleep, is it? There are different stages.
Right. Sleep isn't monolithic. It cycles through different stages throughout the night. Typically, we talk about four main stages.
Moving from light sleep, deeper, and then
Eventually into REM sleep, rapid eye movement. That's the stage most famous for dreaming.
And during REM, the brain activity looks surprisingly similar to when we're awake, doesn't it?
It does. It's highly active. You're dreaming, imagining, maybe even processing problems, yet your body stays mostly still.
Like your mind goes on its own little adventure while the body gets its rest.
Kind of, yeah. And this is where we find the secret sauce for learning memory consolidation.
Okay, unpack that. What's happening with memory during these sleep cycles?
Well, your brain is essentially reviewing the memories you formed during the day. It's actively sifting through them.
Sorting the important from the unimportant.
Exactly. It's deciding what's useful, what needs to be kept, and strengthening those connections. And it's also pruning away the less relevant stuff.
So it's not just passively storing everything.
Not at all. Think of it like a really efficient librarian. During the day, books, experiences, information come in. At night, the librarian organizes them, decides which ones need prominent placement on the shelves, which ones can go to the archive, and which ones are maybe outdated and need discarding.
That's a great analogy. So applying that to English, if I learn, say, 10 new words,
Your brain, during sleep, revisits those words. It asks, metaphorically speaking, were these words useful? Did I encounter them in a meaningful context? Was there an emotion attached? Do they relate to my goals?
and if the answer is yes,
It works to solidify those neural pathways. It makes the memory stronger, more stable. If the answer is no, maybe they were just random words on a list you didn't care about, they're much more likely to fade.
and that whole process, turning those shaky new memories into solid, lasting ones, that's memory consolidation.
Precisely. That's the key mechanism. Sleep isn't downtime for learning. It's an active, essential part of the learning process.
Which explains why you sometimes feel clearer about something complex after sleeping on it.
Exactly. That confusion you felt yesterday might literally get sorted out overnight because your brain has been busy organizing and integrating the information.
Okay, so if the brain is already busy working with memories during sleep,
Hmm?
can we sort of nudge it? Can we help it along? Or even add more English while it's doing that?
Now we get to the crucial point. The science is becoming clearer on this, and it's really important. Sleep doesn't seem to teach you something entirely new from scratch.
Right, it's not like downloading French into your brain overnight.
Exactly. Its real power lies in strengthening what you have already started to learn while awake. That's the critical distinction.
Okay, so what does that actually mean for someone learning English?
It means that if you actively engage with, say, a short English story or practice some new phrases before you go to bed, your brain is kind of primed to work on that material.
You've put it on the librarian's desk, so to speak.
Nicely put, yes.
Yeah.
And then, if you were to play soft audio of that same story or those same phrases while you sleep,
The brain might recognize it.
the evidence suggests yes. It's not conscious listening, obviously, but it might act as a subtle cue, a kind of background whisper that encourages the brain to prioritize consolidating that specific familiar content.
But there's a catch, right? The brain doesn't just soak up everything.
Absolutely not. It's not a passive sponge. Your brain has filters. It makes choices. It prioritizes information that feels relevant, meaningful, maybe emotionally tagged, or useful for survival or goals.
Which is why just listening to random word lists might not be very effective.
Probably not as effective as listening to a story you enjoyed or phrases related to something you care about. Things that feel real and have some connection are more likely to get the brain's attention, even during sleep.
So playing English audio while sleeping, it only really makes sense if you've already worked with that material while awake.
That seems to be the key. You need to have encountered it, processed it, felt it was relevant first. Then the sleep playback acts as a reinforcement, telling the brain, hey, remember this important stuff? Let's make sure we keep it.
It's like, if you think about a problem right before bed, sometimes you dream about it, or wake up with an idea.
Exactly. That's your brain actively chewing on it during the night. The idea with sleep learning is to strategically encourage your brain to chew on specific English content you've already introduced.
Okay, this makes more sense than the magic download idea, but what about the actual proof? Let's get into the lab studies.
Right. Because belief is one thing, but science demands evidence, rigorous testing.
So scientists have actually put people in labs, hooked them up to machines to watch their brainwaves while they sleep, and played sounds to them.
They have carefully controlled experiments, monitoring brain activity, EEG, to know exactly when someone is awake versus in deep sleep, light sleep, or REM.
And what did they find? Let's start with those word pair studies you mentioned earlier.
Okay, so in one type of study, they'd play pairs of completely unrelated words while participants were asleep. Things like dog bicycle or key mountain.
Words the person had never heard paired together before.
Exactly. Then, after waking them up, they'd test their memory, maybe by giving them the first word, dog, and asking them to guess the paired word.
Hmm.
And quite surprisingly, people often guess the correct pair, bicycle, more often than you'd expect by pure chance. Not perfectly, but significantly better than random guessing.
So even though they were asleep, some kind of connection was being formed, however subtle.
It suggests some level of processing, some faint registration of the association was happening subconsciously.
What about just simple sounds like tones?
Other studies used very basic auditory stimuli, maybe a high-pitched tone versus a low-pitched one. They weren't trying to teach meaning, just see if the sleeping brain reacted.
And did it.
Yes. The brainwave readings showed small but distinct neural responses to the tones, even during sleep, like a tiny flicker of activity, a sort of neural whisper acknowledging the sound.
So the brain is listening on some level, even if it's not learning in the way we usually think of it.
It's responding, yes. It's not completely shut off from the auditory world.
But the really big one, the Swiss study you mentioned, that involved foreign words.
Yes, that one was quite influential. They had participants learn some new foreign language words before going to sleep.
Okay, so they had prior exposure. Crucial point.
Absolutely crucial. Then, while the participants slept, one group heard those same foreign words played softly again. The control group heard unrelated sounds or nothing.
And the result in the morning.
Clear difference. The group that heard the words replayed during sleep remembered significantly more of those words. Their memory for that specific vocabulary was stronger.
Wow. So direct evidence for reinforcement.
Exactly. Reinforcement of pre-learned material. It didn't work if they tried to introduce brand new words only during sleep. That prior waking exposure was essential.
What about music? Did studies look into that?
Yes, there's been research on that too. Playing calming classical music during sleep, sometimes alongside recalling a story learned earlier.
And the effect?
People generally reported feeling more relaxed, calmer, and in some cases, there was also a boost in memory for the pre-learned content associated with the music.
So the music itself didn't teach anything.
No, but it seemed to create a more conducive state for the brain. More relaxed, more peaceful, potentially making the memory consolidation process more efficient for the other material.
But it's just as important to talk about what didn't work.
Critically important. The attempts to teach completely new things, brand new vocabulary the person had never seen before, or complex grammar rules encountered only during sleep, those experiments consistently failed.
People just didn't learn it.
They didn't.
Yeah.
No recall, no recognition beyond chance levels. It was as if the sleeping brain just said, nope, not dealing with entirely new, complex information right now.
Why is that, do we think?
The prevailing theory is that the sleeping brain's main job isn't acquisition, it's consolidation, organization, and maintenance. It needs to process the day's input, not necessarily take on a whole new curriculum overnight. That's the reality science points to.
So if we pull all this scientific evidence together, what's the bottom line?
The bottom line is, sleep definitely helps consolidate memories if you study before bed. Playing the same familiar material softly during sleep seems to boost that consolidation effect, making the memory stronger.
But
But you cannot learn something completely new, something your brain hasn't already encountered while awake, just by hearing it in your sleep.
so forget the magic button idea. Forget learning fluent Mandarin overnight if you've never studied it.
Absolutely. It's not a shortcut for lazy learners. It's not going to replace active study.
But framed differently, it is a real tool.
It is a potentially helpful tool, yes, if you use it correctly. Active learning during the day, quality sleep at night, and maybe, just maybe, reinforcing that daytime learning with soft, familiar audio during the initial stages of sleep.
Helping make that learning deeper, more embedded.
Exactly, making it easier to retrieve tomorrow.
So the practical advice isn't play random English all night. No, it's more like learn something specific and meaningful in the evening, then get a good night's sleep, possibly with that same material playing quietly for a short while as you drift off.
That strategic approach is where the real scientifically supported potential lies. It's about working with your brain's natural processes, not trying to force something unnatural.
All right, let's get really practical now. People listening want to know, bottom line, will this help me speak English better? Will it help me remember words, understand faster, feel more fluent?
That's the core question, isn't it? And the answer is, well, it's both simple and not so simple. We need to be clear about expectations.
Let's start with what sleep learning definitely cannot do for you. Grammar rules.
Forget it. Learning grammar requires focused attention. You need to compare structures, notice subtle differences, consciously apply rules. That's an awake brain activity.
It's too analytical for sleep.
Way too analytical, too complex. Your sleeping brain isn't interested in parsing verb conjugations or prepositional phrases. So, no overnight grammar mastery.
And what about actual speaking fluency? The ability to just talk.
Emphatically no. Fluency comes from practice, real active practice. Opening your mouth, forming the sounds, making mistakes, having conversations.
It's like trying to learn to swim by dreaming about water.
Exactly. Passive listening during sleep cannot train the muscles of your mouth and tongue. It can't give you the experience of real-time interaction. Fluency needs active engagement.
Okay, so no grammar, no instant fluency, crystal clear. But what is possible? What can it genuinely help with?
Okay, number one, improved vocabulary retention. This is where the science is strongest.
So if I learn those 10 words in the evening,
And you engage with them, maybe connect them to meaning or emotion, and then you hear them again softly during sleep.
yeah,
Your brain is much more likely to solidify those memories.
make them stick deeper.
Exactly. It helps move them from fragile short-term memory into more robust long-term storage. That's not guesswork. That's supported by research.
But what else?
Enhanced passive listening skills. Consistently hearing English, even passively during sleep, especially familiar content, helps your brain get used to the sounds, the rhythm, the intonation of the language.
So it makes English sound less foreign.
Precisely. It's a slow, subtle process, but it builds familiarity. It makes your brain feel more comfortable, more at home with English sounds, which can indirectly help comprehension when you're awake.
And you mentioned confidence earlier. How does that work?
It's psychological. When your brain hears English regularly, night after night, in a calm, non-threatening context, it starts to normalize it. The subconscious message shifts from, this is difficult and scary, to, this is familiar, this is okay.
Which can reduce speaking anxiety.
Absolutely. That feeling of, I know this sound, I've heard this pattern, can make you feel less intimidated and more willing to try speaking when the opportunity arises. It's a huge, often underestimated benefit.
So summing it up,
Mm.
no magic grammar or fluency, but it can genuinely support vocabulary, make listening feel easier, and boost your overall confidence with the language.
That's the realistic picture. Think of sleep learning not as the teacher, but as the teacher's assistant. A quiet helper.
A soft voice in the dark, maybe. A friendly reminder for your memory.
Exactly. A gentle hand holding on to those new words so they don't float away overnight.
I know many learners get excited. Try it for a week expecting miracles. and then give up when they don't suddenly sound like a native speaker.
And that's the key mistake, expecting instant dramatic results. It's a slower, subtler process. It needs to be part of a bigger plan, not the entire plan.
So combine it with your daytime learning. Listen to simple, enjoyable stories or phrases before bed, play them softly during sleep, and be patient.
Let those words sink in gradually, like gentle rain. That's the smart way to use it.
All right, let's get down to the nuts and bolts.
Here.
How do you actually do this? Let's talk about the practical steps.
Okay, the crucial starting point is understanding the power of that pre-sleep window, those last 20 minutes or so before you actually fall asleep. That's prime time.
Why is that period so important?
Because what your brain focuses on just before drifting off heavily influences what it prioritizes for consolidation during sleep. It's about setting the stage. What it just saw, just felt. That matters hugely. This is the secret many people miss.
So, step one, before anything else, calm the brain.
Absolutely essential. If you jump into bed with your mind racing, stressed from the day, scrolling through social media, your brain isn't receptive.
It's too noisy internally.
Exactly. You need to create a state of calm. Put the phone away, dim the lights, maybe sit quietly for a few minutes. Just breathe slowly. Feel the stress melt away. You want your brain to be like a quiet room with an open window, ready to gently receive. That peaceful state is optimal for memory.
Okay, brain calm down. Step two, choose the right content.
Critically important. And the rule is nothing new or difficult. Trying to learn complex grammar or brand new vocabulary right before sleep will just make your brain feel like it's working overtime, potentially causing anxiety and hindering sleep.
So stick to the familiar.
Stick to what you already studied or encountered that day. A short story you listened to earlier, a few key phrases you practiced, a simple dialogue you reviewed. Keep it short, clear, and comfortable.
You used the example earlier. I get up at 7 a.m., I brush my teeth.
Exactly. If you worked with those simple sentences during the day, that's the kind of thing you might listen to softly for a few minutes before sleep. Why? Because the brain loves repetition.
Like watering that plant again.
Precisely. The initial learning was the first watering, the pre-sleep review, and the subsequent sleep listening, that's the second, deeper watering, helping those roots take hold.
Can I share a personal routine that a friend uses? Something practical.
Please do. Real examples are always helpful.
Okay, so this friend keeps a small, dedicated English notebook by the bed. Every evening, they write down just 3 to 5 phrases or sentences from their day that felt important or had some emotion attached.
Ah, connecting it to feeling. Smart.
Yeah. Maybe I felt proud when I understood, or tomorrow I will try speaking more. Then, after writing them, they might record themselves saying those same phrases slowly and calmly on their phone.
Simple, personal, and reinforces it through multiple modalities: writing, reading, speaking, listening.
Exactly. And there, as they're settling down, they play that short recording very quietly. Or sometimes they'll use a slow podcast or story they already know well. The key is low volume, gentle, familiar.
And importantly, you don't need fancy apps or expensive programs for this, right?
Not at all. A phone, a basic voice recorder app, YouTube for slow stories, free podcasts. The tools are simple. The focus is on finding audio that feels calm, slow, and clear to you.
What about enhancing the experience? Any other tips for that pre-sleep phase?
Well, some people find very soft instrumental background music helpful. No words, just calming ambient sounds. You can relax the brain further and make the English audio feel smoother. Just avoid anything too stimulating.
And definitely no hard studying, right?
Absolutely not. It's gentle review, like tucking your English in for the night, not giving it a final exam.
And you mentioned the smile trick.
Yeah, it sounds a bit strange, but consciously adopting a small, gentle smile while you're doing this final review can genuinely help. Positive emotions are strongly linked to better memory encoding. Tell your brain this is pleasant, this is good.
So preparation is key. Study actively, then relax, gently review the familiar, and set the stage for sleep to do its consolidation work.
Exactly. Your sleep becomes a quiet, patient teacher, reinforcing what you've already put in the effort to learn. Now, let's talk specifically about what audio works best during the actual sleep phase.
Right, so you're in bed, lights are off, you're drifting, and there's this soft English playing. Passive listening, sleep learning in action. What should that audio actually be?
Because not just any English will do, as we've established. No fast news reports or complex lectures.
Definitely not. Your sleeping brain isn't equipped for that. It needs simple, soft, and ideally familiar content.
So what are the top choices? You mentioned slow English stories.
Yes, they're often excellent. Stories have a natural rhythm, emotion, context. The brain seems more attuned to narrative, even subconsciously.
And ideally, stories you've already heard.
Ideally, yes. If you listen to a simple story about, say, someone ordering coffee earlier in the day, hearing that same story softly at night is perfect. Knowing the ending is actually a plus, less cognitive load.
Your brain isn't trying to figure out the plot, just absorbing the language patterns and sounds.
Exactly. It reinforces the feeling, the flow, the vocabulary, and context.
Okay, what else works well? Daily phrase loops.
Those can be very effective, especially for confidence. Simple, positive affirmations or useful daily phrases repeated gently, like, I am improving every day, or speaking English feels natural.
You can find these online or record your own.
Yes, recording your own voice saying phrases that are meaningful to you can be particularly powerful. It builds that internal belief system.
What about English mixed with background music?
That can be great if the music is right. Very soft, ambient, calming sounds like gentle waves, soft rain, or minimalist ambient tracks. It smooths the experience, keeps the brain relaxed. Avoid anything with a distinct melody or beat that might grab attention.
And the shadowing technique you described earlier. Do that before sleep, then listen to the same audio during sleep.
Yes, that's a really potent combo. The act of shadowing primes your brain, highlighting the importance of that specific audio. Then, hearing again during sleep drives the consolidation home. It hits both short-term and long-term memory pathways.
Okay, let's flip it. What should people absolutely avoid using for sleep audio?
Definitely news reports too fast, too fact-dense, often stressful.
Complicated podcasts or academic lectures.
No, if it requires concentration when you're awake, it's not right for sleep.
Long grammar explanations.
Pointless. Your sleeping brain doesn't care about grammatical rules. It wants rhythm and familiarity.
And the golden rule again.
Anything completely new or unfamiliar. Your brain cannot learn brand new concepts from scratch while asleep. Stick to reinforcement.
What about volume and how long to play it?
Volume needs to be very low. Just barely audible, a background whisper. It should not wake you up or consciously distract you. If it does, it's too loud. And duration, all night.
Probably not necessary and potentially disruptive, as we discussed. Using a sleep timer for 30 to 60 minutes is often recommended. Let your brain do its initial processing, then allow for deep, uninterrupted rest. And the voice itself matters.
It can, yeah. Choose a voice you find calming and pleasant. It could be a favorite narrator, your own voice if you find it soothing, or any speaker whose tone feels right. It's quite personal.
So the checklist is simple, slow, repeated, familiar, quiet, and calming.
That's the essence of effective sleep listening. Now, let's put it all together into a realistic daily rhythm.
Okay, let's make this concrete. A real plan, something you can actually follow day in, day out, even when life feels chaotic. Remember, this isn't about adding more work. It's about making your efforts smarter, letting English grow more naturally, even while you rest.
Exactly. Here's a possible daily rhythm, which you can obviously adapt. Let's start with the morning, say 7:00 to 8:00 a.m. Just 5 minutes of light English.
Right after waking up.
Yeah, maybe while brushing your teeth or making coffee. Listen to that slow story again, or read those few simple sentences from your notebook. No pressure to memorize, just gentle exposure. Think of it as a light breakfast for your English brain.
Okay, easy enough. Then midday, maybe lunch break, 12:00 to 1:00 p.m.
Another quick 5 minutes, repeat the same content again, listen passively while you eat or walk. Just reinforcing that familiarity. Remember, repetition is the magic ingredient here.
Got it. Same stuff. Then the evening, maybe 5:00 p.m.
This is your slightly more focused slot, maybe 10-15 minutes. Engage with the same content a bit more actively. Read it aloud, shadow the audio for a minute, whisper the phrases, maybe write them down once.
Telling the brain, pay attention. This is important.
Precisely. You're actively reviewing, building that muscle gently.
Then comes the crucial pre-sleep phase, 9:00 to 10:00 p.m.
Yes, the wind down. No bright screens, no new information, no hard study. Sit quietly, breathe. Look at your 3 favorite sentences from the day, or listen to that same short audio one last time. Nothing new.
Smile, feel calm, tell your brain this is good.
Exactly. Prime it for positive consolidation. This
Yeah.
is perhaps the most powerful part of the whole routine.
And finally, bedtime, 10:00 to 11:00 p.m.
Lie down, get comfortable. Play the same English audio you're recording, the story, the podcast episode, very quietly. Use soft earphones if needed. Set that timer for 30-60 minutes.
They just drift off.
Just let go. As you fall asleep, your brain listens softly, remembers what it heard during the day, and starts its quiet work of saving and reinforcing it. That's your sleep learning happening.
What about people with crazy schedules? Any shortcuts within this?
Absolutely. If mornings are impossible, just whisper one English sentence while getting dressed. If work is stressful, use your 5-minute midday listening as a calming break. If you're exhausted at night, skip the active review and just play the sleep audio. The key is consistency, even if it's minimal.
And stick with the same content for how long?
3 to 5 days is a good guideline before switching to a new short story or set of phrases. Let it really sink in.
So recommended content could be a 1-2 minute slow story, 5 simple phrases you record yourself, a gentle podcast segment, or a loop of familiar vocabulary words.
Perfect. It's not hard. It's meant to be soft and light. It works like water quietly shaping your English mind. Small, consistent actions matter most. English grows in rhythm, not noise.
Now we have to talk about the pitfalls. It's so easy to get excited about this, hope for that magic shortcut, and then disappointment when you don't wake up fluent.
It's a very common trap. People hear, learn while you sleep, try it haphazardly, and then conclude it doesn't work when they make some fundamental mistakes.
So let's break down those common mistakes. Number 1, you already flagged. Using new or difficult content during sleep.
The biggest one, probably. Trying to learn advanced vocabulary or complex grammar you've never seen before while you're unconscious. Your brain just can't do it. It needs that prior recognition. Otherwise, it's just noise. Use familiar content only. Stuff you actively engaged with that day. Sleep is for review and strengthening, not initial learning.
Mistake number 2, playing the audio all night long.
Yeah, thinking more is better, but playing audio for 7-8 hours can seriously mess with your sleep quality. You need deep, uninterrupted rest. Constant sound, even quiet sound, can keep your sleep shallow.
Leading to tiredness, which hurts learning overall.
Exactly. The fix is simple. Use a timer. 30 to 60 minutes is plenty for the consolidation boost. Then let your brain rest properly.
Mistake number 3, changing the audio every single night.
Hopping from topic to topic. A story tonight, phrases tomorrow, a podcast the next day. It breaks the power of repetition. Your brain needs consistency to build deep memory. Constant novelty means it's always starting over.
The solution?
Stick with one piece of content, one story, one set of phrases for several nights in a row. 3 to 5 nights is a good rule of thumb. Let it embed deeply before moving on.
Okay, mistake 4, using audio that's too fast, noisy, or emotional.
Right. Loud background music, rapid fire speech, dramatic arguments. Your sleeping brain wants peace and calm. That kind of stimulating content can be confusing or even stressful, hindering the process.
So the fix is?
Calm voices, slow pace, neutral emotional tone, minimal or no jarring music. Think soothing bedtime story, not action movie soundtrack.
Mistake number 5, expecting actual magic, relying only on sleep learning.
Believing this is the only thing you need to do to become fluent, that you don't need to speak, read, or practice actively, that's setting yourself up for disappointment.
The reality check.
It's not magic, it's not the full solution, it's a helper, a supplement, part of a bigger plan that must include active daytime learning and practice.
And the last mistake, number 6, not actually liking the content.
Choosing something boring or dry just because you think you should. Your brain remembers things better when there's some positive feeling or interest attached. If the content is dull, your brain likely won't bother saving it effectively.
So choose content you genuinely enjoy.
Yes. Stories that make you smile, phrases that feel motivating. Your feelings matter, even for this process. Choose content you connect with.
So the wisdom here is do it right, not just do more. Keep it simple, soft, steady, and familiar.
Exactly. Avoid these common pitfalls, and sleep learning can become a genuine, helpful part of your English journey rather than a source of frustration.
Which brings us back to the ultimate goal for many, speaking. Can this whole process done correctly actually lead to better speaking fluency?
This is the heart of it, isn't it? The desire to speak confidently, for words to come out easily. And yes, sleep learning can contribute to this, indirectly, but significantly.
How so, if it doesn't directly train your mouth?
It builds the foundation of familiarity and automaticity. True fluency isn't just knowing rules. It's when the language comes out almost automatically without conscious effort. And that starts with deep familiarity.
So by listening to that story night after night,
The words, the phrases, the sentence structures become deeply ingrained. They move from being foreign to being known at a subconscious level. This happens best in that relaxed, receptive state of sleep consolidation.
and then, when you try to speak,
Your brain is more likely to retrieve those familiar patterns. It's like the pathway has been paved. The phrase you need might just pop into your head more readily because it's been reinforced night after night. It feels like a gift, but it's the result of that consistent passive reinforcement.
Turning, I think I heard that once, into, yeah, I know that phrase.
Exactly. Sleep is brilliant at strengthening weak connections, making nascent knowledge more robust and accessible.
And the confidence factor plays a big role here, too, presumably.
Huge. As English sounds become more familiar and normal through nighttime listening, the fear factor decreases. You feel less intimidated, more psychologically ready to open your mouth and try. That reduction in anxiety is critical for improving fluency.
What about sentence patterns? Does it help internalize how English sentences are built?
Yes, definitely. Our brains are amazing pattern detectors. Hearing well-structured sentences repeatedly, even passively, helps your brain subconsciously absorb the natural rhythm and word order of English, where the subject goes, how verbs work, common collocations.
Like how kids learn grammar implicitly.
Very similar. It's tapping into that natural repetition-based learning mechanism that we all used as children, but doing it gently, quietly while we sleep.
But we still need to actually practice speaking, right?
Absolutely non-negotiable. You must practice speaking. Sleep learning prepares the ground, loads the mental database with familiar words and patterns, makes retrieval easier.
But it won't move your tongue for you.
Exactly. It makes the act of speaking less daunting and potentially more successful because the resources are more readily available in your mind. Your brain says, hey, I've heard this pattern lots of times. I can probably produce it.
So the answer to, can it help me speak better, is yes.
Yes, but as part of a combined approach. Not in isolation. It provides deeper word memory, stronger pattern recognition, increased confidence, and familiarity with the music of English. These are all vital ingredients for fluency.
Day and night working together. Active study and practice, followed by passive reinforcement during sleep.
That synergy leads to speaking that feels just that little bit easier, smoother, more natural over time. And that's real progress. That's the power we're talking about.
Let's end with a reflection. Imagine your mind, if you will, as a quiet garden at night.
Peaceful, calm, no harsh lights or loud noises.
And in the soil of this garden are tiny seeds. The English words you learned, the phrases you practiced, the stories you enjoyed today.
Just waiting.
Then, as you sleep, a gentle process begins. A soft watering from your memory, a gentle light of consolidation, a slow, nurturing touch.
And those seeds, they start to take root. They unfurl quietly, strengthening, becoming part of the landscape of your mind.
You might not see a huge change overnight, but deep down, those roots are getting stronger. That word is becoming more familiar. That sentence structure feels more natural.
Your dreams aren't just random noise. They can be these soft, fertile places where language grows. Not fast, not loud, but strong, quiet, and beautiful.
We often think learning has to be hard, stressful, a constant struggle.
But nature often teaches us otherwise. Growth can happen quietly, patiently, peacefully. Calm, familiar English at night is like that, a gift of peaceful repetition.
It tells your brain, this matter, keep this. It builds trust, calm, and strength from within.
I've noticed that the learners who make steady long-term progress often aren't the ones frantically cramming. They're the ones who find a sustainable rhythm, who grow slowly, naturally, and who value their sleep, treating their brains with kindness.
And that's really been the core message today, hasn't it? Not magic, not shortcuts, but the truth about how your brain works. Study during the day, relax before bed, listen softly to familiar things at night.
Sleep with trust in the process, hope for your journey, and maybe even a little love for the language you're embracing.
So tonight, when you lie down, let go of the pressure. Don't worry about remembering everything or speaking perfectly tomorrow. Just choose that small story you like, those few words that feel good. Play them softly. Maybe smile.
And let your amazing brain do its quiet, wonderful work. Tomorrow, your English garden will be just a little bit greener.
And a final thought to leave you with. Now that you understand a bit more about how your brain consolidates information during sleep, how might that change how you approach learning other complex things in your life? Could this unlock a deeper, more natural way to learn beyond just language? What if you could actually learn English? Or maybe just reinforce what you've learned, even while you're sleeping? Sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it? Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, could be articles, research papers, maybe even your own notes, and we really dig in to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the goal, to help you get truly well informed without feeling completely buried in information. Today's deep dive is into, well, a really fascinating topic. How to learn English in your sleep. Improve your English while sleeping. Maybe you're incredibly busy right now. Perhaps you felt kind of stuck with your language progress lately. Or maybe you're just looking for a smarter, less stressful way to kind of weave English into your life. If any of that sounds like you, then yeah, this deep dive is absolutely for you. I mean, the idea of learning while you sleep, it just seems almost, well, magical. But where did this intriguing notion even come from?
It's fascinating, isn't it? This idea, it's shown remarkable persistence, throughout history. Think about it. So many English learners feel constantly tired. They're incredibly busy and they desperately want results, but without that crushing pressure of endless study. So the concept of learning effortlessly while you rest without conscious effort, it feels like an incredible gift, like a dream come true for so many people.
Right. The ultimate life hack.
Exactly. And this concept of sleep learning, or hypnopedia as it was sometimes called, it actually isn't new at all. It dates way back to the 1950s. America, Europe, people were really captivated by this possibility, so much so that they even created physical sleep learning machines.
Wait, actual machines, like hardware?
Oh yeah, literal devices
Yeah.
designed to just repeat sentences while you slept. It was all based on this belief that the sleeping brain was somehow, open at night, completely receptive to new information, as if sleep held the secret to just absorbing stuff effortlessly. Some people even tried using these machines to stop smoking, thinking they could, reprogram their habits while unconscious.
That's incredible. People actually built machines for this.
Yeah.
Wow. But if this idea was around in the 50s, was it immediately embraced by scientists? Or was there some pushback? What happened to it before, the internet brought it roaring back?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Because not long after that initial wave of enthusiasm, many scientists basically dismissed it almost entirely. They said, no, look, this is impossible. Sleep is far too deep. The brain just doesn't learn in that simplistic way.
Yeah.
In fact, they went so far as to label it fake science. And for a while, the mainstream belief, it really shifted away from it.
Huh. Fake science.
Yeah.
Strong words.
Yeah. But then, as you mentioned, the internet changed everything.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you started seeing thousands, literally thousands of YouTube videos popping up, all promising success, showing these happy learners, claiming sleep learning was real, it was effective. And just like that, people felt that hope ignite again.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen.
And this brings us to a really important point. Why do so many of us, including, you listening right now, believe in this so strongly? The answer is, well, it's profoundly human. Learning English is undeniably hard. Achieving fluency, that's a significant challenge. People dedicate themselves, right? They go to classes, they study grammar like crazy, they do everything right, yet many still struggle to speak fluently. They feel tired, they feel stuck, and so it's completely natural to look for a different way, a smarter way maybe, or even just a kinder way. The promise of sleep learning, of being able to learn while you rest, it feels incredibly appealing, almost like magic, like you said. So our deep dive today is precisely designed to separate that deeply held hope, that myth, from the actual scientific understanding. What does the evidence really say?
That truly highlights why this topic resonates so much. It's about finding the practical truth within that hope, right? And to do that, we absolutely need to understand what's actually happening when you sleep. Because here's where the science really starts to peel back the layers of how our brains work, even while we're sleeping. When you close your eyes, you fall asleep, your body rests. Yeah. Your conscious thoughts might drift away. You feel like you're completely checked out. But inside your head, something truly amazing is constantly happening. It's a common misconception, I think, that the brain just turns off or goes dormant. That couldn't be further from the truth. It's not magic, but the activity is incredibly powerful. Your brain isn't just idle. It's working silently. It's cleaning, organizing, making crucial decisions about what information from the day to keep and what to, well, toss out. It's this hidden, beautiful, continuous process that unfolds while your body is completely at rest.
Exactly. Your brain definitely doesn't sleep in the same way your body does. It stays active, working in this beautiful, hidden way all night long. You actually cycle through 4 main stages of sleep, repeating them multiple times throughout the night. You start with light sleep, then you progress into deeper sleep, and finally, you enter a very special stage called REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement. During this REM stage, your brain is incredibly active. This is when you dream, you imagine things, you might experience vivid or strange scenarios. Even though your body stays still, it's really just your mind that's alive and buzzing.
Okay, REM sleep, I've heard of that. That's the dream stage.
That's the one. And this is a crucial insight because it's the real key to understanding sleep's role in learning. During these sleep cycles, your brain is actively working with your memory. It takes all the memories from the day, right? And it decides which ones are important enough to keep. It strengthens the useful ones, and importantly, it prunes or erases the less important ones. Think of your brain like an incredibly diligent librarian.
A librarian, I like that.
Yeah. It's meticulously filing away what you truly need for long-term access and, throwing away what you don't. And yes, this process absolutely includes language.
So our brain is essentially a very discerning editor, making sure we don't carry too much mental clutter into the next day. Huh, I wish I had a librarian like that for my email. But can you give us a concrete example? Like, how does this memory consolidation actually work with something like learning new English words?
Absolutely. Let's say you learned 10 new English words during your active study time in the day. Okay, so at night, while you sleep, your brain quietly thinks, well, more like processes. Which of these words are truly useful? Which ones are worth making permanent? It doesn't just randomly keep things. It actually checks various signals, like, did you enjoy learning that word? Was it connected to a story, maybe a strong feeling, or a meaningful context when you first encountered it? Did it feel important to you, even subtly? If the answer to these questions is yes, your brain kind of says, okay, keep it, this is valuable. If not, it might say, forget it. This critical process is called memory consolidation.
Memory consolidation.
Got it. It means your brain takes those small, often weak initial memories and works to make them strong, stable. This is precisely why sleep is not a waste of time. It's an integral part of your entire learning process. You study diligently in the day, maybe, but you remember better after sleeping. It's why sometimes you might feel confused about a concept today, but then wake up tomorrow feeling much clearer, right? Your brain's been working all night.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that sleeping on it effect.
Exactly. So this leads us to a fascinating question. If your brain already works with memory while you sleep, can we help it? Can we add more English during sleep, or maybe just remind the brain of what we learned earlier? Some scientists say yes, potentially. If you listen to the same words again while you sleep, your brain may indeed remember them better. However, and this is the crucial truth, the one you must absolutely understand and internalize, sleep does not teach you something new. It strengthens what you already know.
Okay, wow. That really reframes the entire sleep learning concept, doesn't it? Fundamentally changes our expectations. So if we can't, install new language while we're unconscious, what does this understanding unlock for us? In terms of practical English learning, how do these scientific findings translate into something we can actually use? Let's go to the lab, metaphorically speaking, and see what real scientists found out. Because science isn't about belief or magic, right? It's about proof, testing, finding truth, even if that truth isn't what we initially expected or maybe hoped for.
You've hit on the critical distinction there. Many people hold strong beliefs about sleep learning. Some dismiss it as completely fake, others embrace it like it's pure magic. But like you said, science demands proof. Real scientists were determined to figure out if the brain could truly learn, or at least consolidate memories, while sleeping. They conducted controlled experiments, putting participants in quiet rooms, hooking up machines to their heads to monitor brain waves, EEG, and stuff like that, precisely observing when the brain was awake and when it was in deep sleep.
Right, getting the actual data.
Exactly. So in one well-known study, researchers played pairs of words to sleeping participants. These weren't just any words. They were simple, seemingly unrelated pairs. Things like hat apple, lamp river, moon green. The participants were totally unaware of this. They were in deep sleep, eyes closed, bodies still. But something quite interesting happened. When these individuals woke up and were later shown the words again, a surprising result emerged. Many could guess the correct pair more often than just random chance would predict. Not every single participant, of course, but a statistically significant number showed this tendency. It suggested the brain reacted to these familiar patterns, even subconsciously.
So a subconscious reaction, a whisper, like you mentioned earlier, even in deep sleep, that's pretty remarkable, actually. Were there other, maybe simpler experiments that confirmed this sort of underlying awareness?
Yes, definitely. Another type of experiment explored simple sound reactions. Scientists just played tones, some high, some low to sleeping subjects. Again, the brain didn't fully wake up, but the EEG showed a Small signal, like a whisper inside. This indicated that even though it wasn't learning in the active daytime sense, the brain was indeed responding. It was processing these auditory inputs on some level. It's like the brain's internal radar was still kind of on, subtly picking up signals from the environment.
Huh.
Then came an experiment that truly became a crucial insight for sleep learning, especially when it comes to language. A group of scientists in Switzerland conducted this study where they played foreign words to people while they slept. But here's the absolutely vital detail. These were not random new words. These were words that the participants had already seen. They'd been exposed to them before bedtime. The group was split in half. One group heard these previously seen words during sleep, the other group didn't. In the morning, the results were pretty clear and powerful. The group who had heard the words during sleep remembered significantly more words. Their memory was demonstrably stronger.
Ah, okay. So that Swiss study really drives home the point, doesn't it? It's the prior exposure that matters. Sleep helps lock it in.
Exactly. It's the reinforcement of something already encountered. That seems to be the key mechanism.
So building on that crucial understanding that sleep is about reinforcement, not new learning, what else did these studies reveal? Did music play a role, for instance? You hear about listening to classical music.
Excellent question, and yes, it did seem to play a role. Further studies explored this connection between music and memory during sleep. Researchers played relaxing classical music. In some cases, people also heard, say, a story or a lesson they had learned earlier that day, layered with the music. The findings suggested that later, those people felt more relaxed, calmer. And yes, some did remember the associated information better. Now, the music itself didn't teach them anything new, obviously, but it appeared to make the brain more open, more ready, more peaceful, sort of creating an optimal state that genuinely aided that memory consolidation process. It's like the music created the perfect, serene environment for that librarian brain to do its filing work, you know?
Like mood lighting for the brain's library.
Okay, that's something like that, yeah. But it's also crucial to highlight the limitations here. We need to be balanced. Not all experiments were successful. There were studies that explicitly tried to teach people brand new vocabulary or complex grammar rules only during sleep, with zero prior exposure while awake. These experiments consistently failed. The participants simply didn't remember the new information. It was as if the brain just ignored it. Why? Because fundamentally, the brain isn't designed to acquire entirely new information while you sleep. Its primary goal at night seems to be organizing, processing, consolidating what it already has, not adding more brand new, uncontextualized stuff. That's the scientific truth of it, as far as we understand now.
Okay, so the truth is clear then. Sleep helps memory grow, it strengthens what you've already studied, it reinforces familiar words and patterns. But the critical takeaway, as we've established, is you cannot learn something completely new just by sleeping. This means one powerful thing. Sleep learning is not a shortcut. It is not a magic button that will instantly make you fluent. And it's certainly not the answer for those looking for, zero effort. But it is a tool, a genuinely helpful tool if you use it the right way. So you shouldn't just play random audio while you sleep, and definitely don't try to absorb new grammar rules at 2 a.m. That's not going to work. Instead, the smart approach seems to be learn something small and manageable in the evening, a short story, a few new words, maybe simple podcasts you've already listened to, and then go to sleep. Your brain will then take that gentle, pre-existing input and work with it overnight.
Exactly. Now, let's be absolutely honest about what's possible and what's not. Because, you're here for real answers, not just scientific theory. You want to speak English better, remember words, understand quickly. And you're probably looking to sleep learning for a path. So let's be direct. Can you become fluent while you sleep? The answer, as we've seen, is nuanced.
Right, let's break down what's definitely off the table.
Okay, let's start there. What you cannot learn in your sleep. First, you absolutely cannot learn grammar rules effectively in your sleep. Your brain needs full, conscious attention for grammar. It requires you to compare different structures, notice small changes, actively analyze patterns, practice applying them. This happens when you're awake, when you're thinking, writing, speaking actively. If you simply hear a complex grammar rule in your sleep, your brain is likely just going to ignore it. It's too detailed, too abstract, too complex for the sleeping brain to process and integrate as a new learning point. So, no, grammar doesn't really grow at night through passive listening alone.
Grammar downloads overnight. What else?
Secondly, and just as importantly, you cannot become fluent in your sleep. Fluency requires active practice, real-world use. You need to speak. You need to make mistakes, learn from them. You need to engage in real conversations. It requires your mouth, your tongue, your whole body, really, to physically produce sounds and connect ideas in real time. Sleeping cannot give you fluency no matter what some online videos might claim. It's like thinking you can learn to ride a bicycle by just dreaming about it. You
Mhm.
can't, right? Your physical self needs real active practice.
That's a crucial clarification.
Yeah.
Total sense. So while grammar and full fluency aren't on the sleep learning menu, what is truly possible? Backed by the science we've discussed, where can this tool actually help us?
Right. Let's focus on the positives, the real possibilities. You can remember words better, especially those you've already studied. Let's go back to that example. You actively learn 10 new words in the evening. Then you sleep. During that sleep, your brain revisits those words. If they were interesting, if they were clear, and crucially, if they were heard again while you slept, even faintly, your brain has a much higher chance of saving them deeper, making them stick. This isn't just a guess. Real science, through repeated studies, consistently shows this effect. It's like those words get a second gentle reinforcement, to make sure they stick around.
Okay, better vocabulary retention. That's a significant benefit right there. What else?
You can also improve your passive listening, though maybe not in the way you typically imagine. If you listen to English during sleep, especially sentences you've heard before, your brain actually becomes more familiar with the sounds.
Oh.
This doesn't mean you'll wake up suddenly understanding everything perfectly, no. But your brain will genuinely feel more comfortable with the rhythms, the stress patterns, the phonetics of English. This is what we might call passive improvement. It's a slow process, sure, but it's real. It subtly makes your brain more accustomed to the language's sort of music.
Getting attuned to the soundscape of English. I like that.
And here's another powerful benefit, often overlooked. You can build confidence. When your brain hears English consistently at night, again and again, it gradually starts to feel normal. English becomes just part of your background, something soft, not scary or intimidating. That feeling of comfort can significantly help you later when you actually need to speak. It sends this crucial signal to your brain. Hey, you know this, don't be afraid, this sound is familiar.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Reducing that fear factor.
It really is. So the truth is clear, no grammar, no instant fluency from sleep alone. But you can support vocabulary retention, you can make passive listening feel easier over time, and you can help your brain feel more calm and comfortable with English. This is the smart way to approach sleep learning. It's not a full teacher, no, but it is a helper. A soft voice in the dark, maybe. A friendly reminder.
Now, I know many students might hear this and feel a bit disappointed. They often expect magic, right? And when they don't get immediate miraculous results, they tend to give up. Please don't make that mistake. Use sleep learning as part of a broader plan, never as the only plan. Combine it with your active daytime learning. Listen to short, simple stories before bed. Maybe play them softly while you sleep. Repeat the same stories for several days. Let those words gently sink into your brain like soft, steady rain.
Okay, now let's make this really actionable, because the key to effective sleep learning isn't just what you hear during sleep. Crucially, it's also about what your brain saw and felt just before you closed your eyes. That last 20 minutes or so before sleep can significantly change how your brain remembers English.
Right. Setting the stage.
Exactly. First and foremost, you need to calm your body and mind.
Mhm.
No stress, no constant phone notifications buzzing, no distracting noise. If your brain is still racing with messages, flashing pictures, endless scrolling, it simply won't be receptive to learning. Even passively, it won't remember much. Your brain needs to be calm. Think of it like a quiet room with an open window. You can achieve this pretty easily. Sit on your bed, maybe close your eyes, breathe slowly for a few minutes. Just be present, find some peace. This calm, relaxed state is absolutely the best for memory consolidation.
That makes perfect sense. Our brains are already working hard all day. They need that quiet space to process before we even think about adding more input, even gentle input. So once we're calm, what kind of content should we pick for those vital minutes before sleep?
This is critically important. Do not listen to something new or difficult. That will only confuse your brain, or worse, feel like work right before bed. Instead, pick something you have already studied that day. It needs to be familiar. Maybe a story you read, a dialogue you practiced, or just a few simple vocabulary phrases you learned. It should be short and clear. For example, if during the day you learn the sentences, I get up at 7 a.m., I brush my teeth, I drink tea, I go to work, and you read or listen to them once or twice, then that night, just before sleep, maybe play the same audio again, softly. Not loud, not fast, just soft, slow, gentle.
Okay, familiar, short, clear. Got it. But why repeat what you already know? Doesn't the brain want novelty?
Ugh. But the sleeping brain, especially when consolidating memory, seems to love repetition. Think of it like watering a small plant. Watering it just once isn't enough for strong roots, right? You need to do it again and again. And sleep is truly the best time for that second watering, metaphorically speaking. The plant, or in this case, your memory, grows most effectively in the night during that consolidation phase. It's about deepening those existing neural pathways, making them stronger.
The second watering, I like that analogy.
Yeah. Now, let me share a personal tip, just like, friend of friend. I keep a small English notebook right near my bed. Each night, I just jot down maybe 3 to 5 new phrases I genuinely liked from the day. Only the ones that spark some emotion in me, something I connected with, not just boring ones. Phrases like, maybe don't be afraid, or you can do it, or I will try again tomorrow. Simple stuff. Then I close the notebook. Before sleeping, I might play the exact same words as audio. Sometimes I actually record my own voice saying them. Or I find a slow podcast or story I particularly like. I play it quietly, my eyes close, my body sleeps, but my brain listens softly, gently. Do you need fancy apps or expensive programs for this? Absolutely not. Just use simple tools you probably already have. Your phone, a voice recorder app, YouTube has tons of slow English stuff, free podcasts. Anything that feels calm, slow, and clear is what's most important.
That's such a simple yet powerful habit. I've definitely noticed how much more I remember when I connect new information with something personal. Even if it's just a feeling, it really makes it stick, doesn't it? And speaking of feelings, what about background music? Can that help, or is it more of a distraction?
It can absolutely help. Soft music, especially instrumental stuff without words, can be very beneficial. It helps relax your brain and makes the audio feel smoother, kind of guiding the words in gently. However, definitely avoid fast or really emotional music. That can actually wake you up or stimulate your brain too much. You want your brain to kind of float, not dance. Also remember, this isn't about studying hard just before sleep. That's not the goal at all. You're not trying to cram or memorize everything right then. You are only reviewing gently, like saying goodnight to your English for the day.
Saying goodnight to your English. Nice.
And one more small but I think powerful tip: smile. I know it sounds maybe a bit strange, but if you smile while listening to English, even just an inner smile, your brain seems to remember it better. Science consistently shows us that positive feelings create stronger memories. So even if you're tired, just give your English a soft, gentle smile. Your brain will truly thank you. You see, preparation is really key. If you study reasonably well during the day and then relax into this soft review before bed, your sleep can transform into a silent teacher. A slow, patient teacher who never speaks loudly but helps your English grow quietly.
Okay, so you're in bed, the lights are off. And maybe some gentle English words are floating into your ears like quiet music. This is the passive listening part. This is sleep learning in action. But what exactly should you listen to? Because, as you said, not all English is good for sleep. We need something simple, soft, and crucially familiar, something your brain already knows, but still kind of wants to hear again for reinforcement.
Precisely. Let's get specific about the audio.
Yeah, what works best?
Okay, first, slow English stories. These are incredibly powerful. Why? Because they have emotion, usually. They have rhythm, they have meaning. Your brain listens better when it feels something, so choose slow English stories that you've already listened to earlier in the day. Perhaps it's the story of someone learning English, or a simple tale about everyday life. It doesn't need to be new. In fact, like we said, it's actually better if you already know the ending. When you listen to these stories in your sleep, your brain quietly connects the pieces. It might not grasp every single line consciously, but it remembers the feeling, the sounds, the flow. And that's enough. That is a form of learning, or at least consolidation.
Familiar stories. Got it. What else?
Second, daily phrase loops are another fantastic tool. Think of simple, repeated phrases. Things like, I can speak English, or I understand more each day. Maybe I love learning new words. Positive affirmations, almost. You can find audio online that repeats these short phrases, or even better, you can record them in your own voice. Loop them, play them on repeat softly, let them become part of your night's soundscape. This isn't just about rote memory, it's also about building that confidence we talked about. These phrases quietly sink in, become part of your thoughts. So in the morning, they're still there, quiet but strong, telling your brain, yeah, I can do this.
Like planting positive seeds?
Exactly. Third, English with background music can work well. Some audios successfully mix English phrases or stories with soft background music. This is very helpful because the music makes the experience smoother, it keeps the brain calm, helps the words go in gently. But be selective here. Choose music without strong beats or heavy sounds. No loud drums, no fast piano, just calm, slow, gentle music. Maybe like soft waves or a gentle wind sound.
Ambient English.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else particularly effective?
Yes, finally, a very effective technique is doing a bit of shadowing practice right before sleep, followed by sleep listening. Here's a super tip. Before you sleep, shadow a short audio. That means you listen and then repeat what you hear just for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Really focus on the sounds. Then play that exact same audio again, but this time while you sleep. This technique seems to send a strong signal to your brain. Hey, pay attention, this is important. It helps embed those words and phrases into both your short-term and your long-term memory. The results of combining shadowing with sleep listening can be quite powerful for some people.
Shadowing, then sleeping with the same audio. Interesting combo. Okay, now, just as important as what to listen to is what not to use, right? What should we definitely avoid?
Absolutely. Avoid news reports, for instance. They're usually fast-paced, packed with facts, often emotionally stressful, definitely not conducive to relaxed sleep learning. Steer clear of complicated podcasts. If you need to focus hard to understand them when you're awake, don't use them at night. It'll just be noise. Long grammar lessons are also a no-go. Like we said, your sleeping brain doesn't care about explicit rules. It wants rhythm, familiarity, comfort, and critically, the golden rule. Do not use anything brand new. Your brain simply cannot learn brand new things effectively in sleep. It can only review and reinforce what it already knows.
Okay, that's clear. Any final practical tips on the setup? Volume, duration.
Yeah, a couple more practical points. Keep the volume low. It shouldn't be silent, obviously, but it also shouldn't be loud enough to actually disturb your rest. Your brain shouldn't be woken up by it. It should just hear it gently, like soft rain, maybe. If the audio does wake you up, or if you find yourself having really vivid, maybe disruptive dreams, try using a timer. Play the audio for just 30 to 60 minutes, then let silence return. Your brain will have likely done its main consolidation work related to that audio by then. It doesn't need it pounding away all night long. Deep rest is also vital. And finally, use your favorite voice, if possible. If you like a particular speaker's voice because it's calm, use that. If you find your own voice soothing unrecorded calmly, use that. If a certain teacher or podcast host makes you feel comfortable, choose that voice. The voice is personal, and the right one can make a big difference in relaxation and receptivity.
Okay, so simple, slow, repeated, familiar content, low volume. Maybe use a timer. Choose a voice you like. Got it.
Right. Now let's make everything super simple and real. You've learned the science, you've heard the stories, but now you need a concrete plan, something you can actually follow every day, even if you are busy, even if you are tired, even if you're still a little skeptical about the magic. This isn't about doing more. This is about doing things better, smarter. Just enough so your English grows without pressure, without pain, maybe even while you rest. Let's outline a sample daily routine.
Perfect. A practical schedule.
Okay. Morning, let's say roughly 7 to 8 a.m. Start your day with light English. When you first wake up, your mind is often fresh, right? Like a clean slate. Don't immediately grab your phone to check messages or news if you can help it. Instead, take just 5 minutes for some soft English. You could listen to a slow English story while you're brushing your teeth, maybe? Or simply read 2 or 3 simple English sentences from that notebook we talked about. The key here is not to try hard to remember. Just enjoy it. Let the words gently wake your brain. Keep it short and calm. This isn't a lesson. Think of it as a breakfast for your brain.
Breakfast for the brain. I like it. What about midday?
Midday, around 12 to 1 p.m. Repeat once if you can. If you can find just another 5 minutes, try to repeat the same content, that same story, those same phrases that you encountered in the morning. You don't need to sit down and study actively. Just listen again while you're having lunch or maybe while walking outside. This casual repetition helps your brain go, oh yeah, I remember this. Like we said, repetition is key for embedding information.
Okay, quick reinforcement. Then evening.
Evening, maybe 5 to 7 p.m. This is your light practice window. Spend about 10 to 15 minutes with that same content again. This time, maybe engage a little more actively. Speak a little. Repeat the sentences aloud. Try shadowing them, speaking along with the audio. Whisper them to yourself, or maybe write them down once in your notebook. This is your active review. You're telling your brain, hey, this stuff is important. Please keep it. You could even record yourself speaking 3 to 5 simple lines from it. Listen back and smile. You are quietly, gently building your English muscle every evening. And your confidence is growing, even if you don't feel it directly yet.
Active review.
Okay.
And then the crucial pre-sleep phase.
Nights, say 9 to 10 p.m. Now it's time to prepare for sleep learning. This is arguably the most powerful part for leveraging sleep. Absolutely no bright screens, no hard studying right before bed. Sit with yourself. Breathe slowly, maybe open your notebook and just read your 3 favorite sentences from the day's content, or listen to the audio one last time. The same story, the same words. Do not add anything new now. Your brain is getting ready to remember. As you do this, smile. Feel calm, feel good about it. This simple act tells your brain, I like this language, it feels safe.
Setting that positive intention.
Exactly. Bedtime, maybe 10 to 11 p.m. Play your sleep audio. Now lie down and play that same familiar English audio you've been working with. Could be your own voice recording, that slow story, a gentle podcast episode. Keep the volume low. Use earphones only if they are super soft and comfortable and won't disturb your sleep. If you want, set that sleep timer. 30 to 60 minutes is usually plenty. As you drift off, your brain listens. Not perfectly, not consciously, but softly. It remembers what it heard during the day, it saves it, maybe it even repeats it quietly in your dreams. That is sleep learning in action.
That sounds like a very manageable, gentle routine.
It is. And a few quick tips for busy people. If you truly don't have time in the morning, just whisper one English sentence to yourself. That's enough to start. If your job is stressful, maybe use English listening, calm music with phrases to help calm your mind during a break. If you are absolutely exhausted at night, don't push yourself with the pre-sleep review. Just play the audio softly and close your eyes. Let your brain do the rest. And a critical point again, use the same content for 3 to 5 days. Please don't change it too fast. Let it truly become a part of you before moving on. What kind of content? A slow story, 1 to 2 minutes long, is fine. 5 simple phrases in your own voice. A gentle English podcast you've already listened to. A vocabulary loop, but only with words you've already learned. This routine isn't hard. It's designed to be soft, light. It works like water, quietly shaping your English mind day by day. Remember, you don't need to do everything perfectly. Just do something. Every small action counts. English doesn't grow well in noise and stress. It grows better in rhythm and calm.
Okay, that's a great framework.
Yeah.
But, many learners get excited when they first hear about sleep learning. It sounds easy, it sounds fun, and they might think, yes, maybe this is the shortcut I need.
Yeah.
So they jump in, maybe play English audio all night long, hoping for fast, magical results. But after just a few days, they often feel confused, realize nothing dramatic has changed, get disappointed, and then, poof, they give up. But the truth is, as you've laid out, sleep learning can help you if you do it right. And crucially, if you avoid the common mistakes that trip people up. Let's talk about those pitfalls and how to sidestep them.
Yes, let's. Knowing the mistakes is half the battle.
Mistake 1. Using new or difficult content while sleeping. This seems to be, by far, the most common error, right? People grab a brand new podcast, maybe a conference grammar lesson video, or a fast-paced native conversation they've never heard before, and just play it at night.
Exactly. And as we've discussed, the brain simply cannot effectively learn brand new, complex things in deep sleep. It needs to recognize the words, the patterns first. If your brain doesn't know what it's hearing, it won't care. It'll just treat it like meaningless background noise. The fix is simple. Use familiar content only. Play what you've already studied or listened to that day. Keep it short and relatively simple. Sleep is for review and strengthening, not for trying to absorb entirely new university lectures or something.
Okay, familiar content only. Makes sense. Mistake 2. Playing English all night long. Some learners might reason, well, the more hours I play it, the more I'll learn. So they leave the audio running for 6, 7, 8 hours straight.
Yeah, that seems logical, but it can actually hurt your sleep quality. Your brain needs genuine restorative rest, too. Stages of deep sleep and REM without constant auditory input. Long audio sessions can subtly wake you up more often or keep your sleep light and shallow. The result? You feel tired in the morning, and paradoxically, your overall learning might actually slow down because you're sleep deprived. The fix. Use a timer. Play the audio for just 30 to 60 minutes. That's usually ample time for your brain to do that gentle review and reinforcement, and then let your room be silent for proper deep rest.
Right. Prioritize sleep quality. Okay, mistake 3. Changing the audio every single night. Some learners get bored easily, I guess. One night it's a love story, the next night a grammar review, the next a podcast about business trends.
But this breaks the routine and really hinders deep memory formation. The brain thrives on repetition, especially for consolidating memories. Repetition is what makes memory strong and automatic. Constantly introducing new content every night forces the brain to restart that recognition process over and over, and no deep, lasting learning or strengthening really happens with any specific piece of content. To avoid this, as we mentioned in the routine, use the same content for 3 to 5 nights in a row. Let your brain build a deep, solid memory with that specific story or set of phrases. You can switch later, of course, but don't jump around too quickly.
Consistency over novelty at night. Got it. Mistake 4. Using fast, noisy, or overly emotional content. Lots of YouTube videos might have loud background music, really fast speakers, or maybe even dramatic, highly emotional stories.
Yeah, but during sleep, your brain is incredibly sensitive. It generally doesn't want noise. It wants peace and calm. Loud or intensely emotional content can actually confuse or even stress your sleeping brain, disrupting its quiet work. A much better approach is to use calm voices, slow speed, and try to avoid really strong emotions or loud, intrusive music. Think of it like a soothing bedtime story, not an action movie soundtrack.
Keep it chill,
Mm.
okay? Mistake 5. Expecting magic. This is maybe the biggest mindset mistake, isn't it? Some learners genuinely seem to believe sleep learning alone will make them fluent, without any active speaking, reading, or practicing during the day. They just play audio and wait for fluency to arrive.
Right, and sleep learning is not magic, it's not the full solution, it's a helper. It's just one part of a much bigger, comprehensive language learning plan. What works instead is to combine it consistently with daytime learning. Use sleep learning for that review and reinforcement, but mix it with active reading, speaking practice, conscious listening while you're awake. Let your day learning and your night reinforcement work together in harmony.
Synergy. All right, one more. Mistake 6. Not actually enjoying the content. Some of this may be easy to miss, but it sounds crucial. Some people might choose really boring audio, thinking, well, it doesn't matter, I'm asleep anyway.
But your brain is smart. It remembers feelings, connections. If the content feels dry, utterly boring, or irrelevant to you, your brain likely won't assign it much importance, and it won't save it as effectively, even during sleep. The solution lies in choosing content you genuinely like or find meaningful stories that make you smile, phrases that feel good or useful to you. Your feelings matter, even subconsciously at night, because positive emotions tend to forge stronger, more durable memories.
Choose joy, even for sleep learning. Love it. So, avoiding these pitfalls seems key. One small mistake can waste many nights of potential reinforcement, but one smart adjustment can help you learn faster, easier, better. Keep it simple, keep it soft, keep it steady.
Exactly. Now let's circle back and ask the big question, the one that's likely still in your heart. Can sleep learning really help you speak better? You want the words to come faster, right? You want to feel more free when you speak English, not slow, nervous, or constantly stuck searching for words. And you wonder if listening to English while sleeping can actually improve your speaking ability. The answer, as we've hinted, is yes, it likely can help, but probably not in the direct way you might initially expect.
Okay, unpack that for us. How does passive listening translate to better speaking?
Well, fluency doesn't just come from knowing grammar rules or having a huge vocabulary list memorized from a textbook. It comes more from automatic response, from words and phrases coming naturally without you having to consciously think too much or translate word for word in your head. And that automatic feeling, that ease, often begins with something incredibly simple: familiarity.
Familiarity.
Yeah. Imagine this. You listen to the same short English story every night for a week. At first, maybe you consciously understand 70%. After a few nights of passive listening, maybe it feels like 80% than 90% familiar. Slowly, subtly, those words, those specific phrases, the rhythm of those sentences, they become deeply part of you. Not because you intensely studied them in a textbook, but because you heard them again and again with peace, with no pressure, with your eyes closed. Then the next day, you're in a conversation, you try to say something similar, and suddenly your brain kind of gives you the sentence like a gift. It was just there, waiting, hidden inside somewhere. And it comes out more naturally when you need it. That's not magic, that's psychology. Your brain remembers words and patterns more deeply and effectively when it encounters them repeatedly in relaxed states. And sleep is arguably the most relaxed state of all. It's not primarily for learning brand new things from scratch, but it seems perfect for making weak or recently learned words stronger. For taking, I think I saw this before, and transforming it into, yeah, I know this now.
So it primes the pump, essentially. It makes those known words more accessible.
Exactly. And here's that other truth about confidence. It really does come from familiarity. When you hear English every single night, your brain gradually stops sending those alarm signals like, oh no, this is difficult, foreign, scary. Instead, it starts perceiving it as, okay, this is normal. This sound is part of my environment.
Hmm.
And that subtle shift in perception can change everything when you go to speak. You feel calmer, you feel more ready, not because your English has suddenly become perfect overnight, but because your fear, that inner critic, that nervousness has become smaller. That's a huge, often underestimated benefit for speaking.
Reducing the anxiety definitely frees up mental resources for speaking. What about sentence structures? Can it help with grammar in that way?
Yes, indirectly. Our brains are amazing pattern detecting machines. When you repeatedly hear a common phrase like, I want to go there, or she needs to finish it, again and again, your brain quietly learns that shape, that structure, the pattern. It learns where the subject usually goes, where the verb goes, how the little pieces fit together naturally. It doesn't need explicit grammar rule explanations during sleep. It just hears the pattern repeatedly, deeply absorbing the common structures. This is very similar to how children learn to speak their native language, isn't it? They hear, they absorb patterns, they copy, they repeat. Sleep learning can gently bring that kind of implicit pattern-based learning into your adult life softly, quietly, deeply reinforcing common sentence frames.
Learning grammar by osmosis, almost.
In a way, yeah. Reinforcing the patterns you've already been exposed to. So, to reiterate clearly, speaking still requires speaking practice. Sleep learning won't magically move your tongue for you or give you instant conversational skills. You still must open your mouth, use your voice, interact with others, and practice actively. However, what sleep learning can do is prepare the words, hold the useful phrases and patterns more firmly in your mind. So, when you do go to speak, you are not starting from absolute zero with that specific phrase or structure. Your brain is more likely to respond, almost as if saying, ah, yes, I've heard this pattern many times. I know how this goes. I can retrieve this.
It lowers the activation energy needed to produce the language.
That's a great way to put it. So, yeah, sleep learning can help you speak better, not by itself, not without daytime effort, but as an incredibly valuable part of your overall journey. It gives you something truly special, a deeper, more ingrained memory of useful words and chunks of language, stronger recognition of common sentence patterns, potentially a calmer and more confident feeling inside, and a profound familiarity with the very sound and music of English. This, ultimately, is what fluency is built upon. Now, imagine your day and night working together in perfect synergy. In the morning, maybe you study and introduce some new ideas or vocabulary. In the evening, you review and actively practice using them. And then at night, your brain repeats the sounds, reinforces the patterns, and consolidates what you've learned while you sleep peacefully. The result. The next day, your speaking might feel just that little bit easier, a little smoother, a little more natural. That's tangible progress. That's real power, harnessed gently.
That's a really encouraging perspective. Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, I invite you, our listener, to maybe close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine your mind as a quiet, peaceful garden. There are no loud sounds in there, no stress, just fertile soil waiting. And inside that soil are little seeds. They are the words you learned today, the phrases you repeated, perhaps the stories you listened to with a bit of joy. They are there now, silent still, but alive. This is your English night garden. When you sleep tonight, this garden begins to grow silently. There's no noise, no force, just soft watering from your memory consolidation processes, gentle light from that repeated exposure, a slow, patient touch of neural connection strengthening. And the seeds, those little pieces of language, they remember. They open up, they stretch their roots, they become more deeply a part of you. Maybe you don't see it dramatically when you wake up. Your English might feel much the same at first glance. But deep inside, the roots are getting stronger. A new word you encountered yesterday might now feel more clearly etched in your mind. A sentence structure you heard repeated might feel just a tiny bit smoother on your tongue when you try to use it. That's the garden. That's the quiet power of sleep working with your learning. Your dreams are not empty. They can be soft places where language takes root and grows not fast, not loud, but strong, quiet, beautiful. Many people mistakenly think learning must always be hard, serious, loud, maybe even stressful. But look around you in nature. The strongest things often grow silently. Trees grow in silence over years. Flowers bloom beautifully in the quiet dark. And your English can grow in that quiet space too. When you listen to calm, familiar English at night, you are giving your mind a wonderful gift. Peaceful repetition. Gentle reinforcement. You are telling your brain, this matters to me, this is safe, this is becoming familiar, and your brain listens. It doesn't give you instant magic. It gives you something potentially far better. Growing trust in your abilities, a sense of calm around the language, and slowly building strength. So tonight, when you lie down, maybe don't worry so much about remembering absolutely everything, and definitely don't worry about speaking perfectly tomorrow. Just perhaps choose a small story you like, a few words or phrases that feel good or useful to you. Play them softly, smile inwardly, and let your brain do its quiet, powerful work while you rest. Tomorrow, your English garden might just be a little greener. We've explored the science behind learning English in your sleep. We've separated some of the myths from the actual truths, and hopefully given you a practical path forward for using sleep to support your English improvement. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever listened to English while sleeping? What was your experience like? Did you notice any effects, positive or negative? Share your insights if you feel comfortable, and please continue this learning journey with us, exploring these simple, human, and often surprisingly powerful ways to learn English. Until next time, keep diving deep.